Okay, this is the conclusion, part 3 of Checkmating God's Checklist with TBS God 2.0. Okay, so in conclusion, just coming off what I was saying in the second video, I got cut off there. Therefore, you're saying all these things, God, check this, check that. God is irrational and immoral for doing it like this. But in your view, there's no such thing as objective rationality or objective morality. There's not, doesn't exist. Okay? There's nothing there. Okay, that's a problem, Scott, because when I was in your camp, when I was on your team, you say it's metaphysical naturalism. My stripe through was empirical verificationism. And then you have the funny atheistic scientists today, like Krauss and all these others. They're saying philosophy is dead. Atkins and all. They're saying philosophy's dead. Philosophy is unnecessary. But then they go on and they affirm naturalistic atheism, metaphysical naturalism, which is a philosophy, and it's a self-refuting one, which I'm pointing out, right? That there's no such thing as objective rationality or morality in your view. To debate rationality with an empirical verificationist, this is what I figured out when I was on your team, is as silly as debating with the solipsis about the color of this remote right here. Okay? The solipsis doesn't think this remote really exists. How silly would it be for the solipsis if I said, oh, this remote is pink? And the solipsis says, no, it's black. Can't you see it's black? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it's black. It looks black. And then he said, well, I don't believe the remote's really there. It's silly. So if you're right, this whole debate is absurd, the whole thing. This is what I realized when I was an empirical verificationist. You're standing on nothing. You have nothing to stand on. What you're like is a person who is saying that you're saying this is what you're saying. Earth is a bad place to live because there's tsunamis and there's volcanoes and there's animals that could eat us and there's deserts and there's all kinds of bad weather, that tornadoes and all these things that could kill human beings. And what a terrible place to live. So let's go live on Mars where there's no air. We would die instantly. That's what you're saying. Actually, it's worse. It's more like saying, let's go live in outer space where there's no moral gravity, there's no epistemological foundation, there's nothing there. You're exchanging this biblical theism for oblivion. There's nothing there. So, you're saying the biblical God is irrational and immoral, but you don't think there's objective rationality and morality. That's checkmate. That's why I'm really considering why debate even atheists, because if they're right, naturalistic atheists, if they're right, there's no point. The whole thing is a charade. It's just he's the 8-ball, he's the cue ball knocking me, the 8-ball, to think a different way. That's it. It's completely determined from start to finish. And the whole thing implodes on itself. There's nothing there. And there's these atheists that are starting to say, well, it's not all determined because it's based on quantum indeterminacy. Come on, that makes it worse. Or it's based off of the physical world. It's what we observe off the physical world. Well, if quantum mechanics is true and we're basing it off of that, then the law of contradiction could go out the window. You see? And then philosophy is over. There's all kinds of things that would just be destroyed if you base it off the physical world. You can't base it off that. You have to accept there's a rational realm out there. So to even have a debate that's meaningful. But then it also, if you're right and there's no metaphysical realm, there's nothing outside the physical system, then it's all determined and it's all of our thoughts are geared for survival. That's the real tragedy of the atheistic view, is that it says how mean God is and all this, but then it absolutely exchanges it for hopelessness. For there's no love. If you love a woman, that love, if you think it transcends wanting to get your DNA passed, that's a delusion. Remember Dawkins, the wonderful, he states your position and he's correct. At bottom, there's no good, no evil. There's nothing. There's pitiless indifference, the whole universe. That's the harsh reality of what is there if metaphysical naturalism holds. So that's checkmate. Checkmate.